Mhm.
Hi, and thank you for tuning into this video. I'm very excited to introduce you to somebody very special. His name is Ragav, and he has started a series of videos on his own YouTube channel where he debunks the myths created by the cult leader fraud who calls himself Nithyananda and uses the authentic Vedic scriptures to show how the false teachings of this, fake guru are really just self-serving towards his agenda. And it's really a joy to introduce you to Raghav. I've been binge watching his videos, and they bring a lot of clarity to the mental illusions created in so many people like myself who were members of the Nithyananda cult, because a lot of us still feel some guilt as if we've betrayed a guru by leaving. It took me about a year to overcome that myself. I think it would have been much quicker had I known Raghav's videos at that point. And today I have some questions for him that go into some of the specifics about Nithyananda's teachings or false teachings. But before that, I'd like to first welcome Raghav. So namaskaram, welcome to my YouTube channel.
Namaskaram.
Thank you,
Namaskaram.
thank you for joining us. Um,
Yes.
so sorry to everyone watching that you're not able to actually see Raghav. We've been having a few issues with our Zoom setup, but at least we can hear him and enjoy the wisdom he's come to share. So Raghav, first, maybe before we get into the questions, would you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you were born, what your life has been like, and what led you into the study of the Vedas?
Well, I was born in a Hindu Brahmin family in Tamil Nadu, and by the natural process, I was given the Upanayanam, which is the Gayatri initiation. And after that, I studied Vedas, little bit of Vedas under one Ganapadigal from Kumbakonam. This one, Kumbakonam Veda Padashala. So for about 4 or 5 years, this was the process. So after that, I learned Tamil systematically from great Tamil scholars like Muva Arasu, Durai Ramanathanar, all these great poets. And I am a Tamil poet myself. I'll be able to write poems in Tamil in the proper meter as well as in Sanskrit. So learning grammar and other basic things in both Tamil and Sanskrit, I did it as a child. Then I was in an area called Villivakam, wherein at that point of time, so many spiritual movements were going on. Vedadri Maharishi and then Jagi Vasudev, Isha, all of these things were going on, and there will be certain think tanks over there where people will discuss things. So as a child, I used to just go and sit and listen there, and that is how my interest grew. So as far as my Vedic education and other things are concerned, I learned the Shastras before finishing the Vedas because I wanted to understand Vedanta a little bit more. So that is the way in which you have to go. So you can say from my age of 7, when the Upanayanam happened, right from the age of 8 all the way till 33 right now, I am a continuous student of Vedanta. And my acharyas have been blessed with great teachers like Professor Veenathan, who was Nyaya Shastri, who worked with Kanchi Mahaperiva himself. And it is told, the legend is that if Kanchi Mahaperiva, that is Chandrasekharendra Saraswati Swamigal, has any questions in Nyaya Shastra, he will be the go-to person. And my guru is a scholar from Kanchi University as well, Dr. Shankaran, and he is a doctoral scholar, and he is a student of Dayananda Saraswati, and he has written more than 100 papers in a single year on Bhagavad Gita. So that is my Shakta lineage. He is my Shakta guru as well. And as far as Shastras are concerned, I have studied from various teachers like Swami Omkarananda and then Dravidacharya of Rishikesh. All these are very good scholars who have multiple years of experience in teaching to students. So basically, like, I'm a student of this tradition, and I'm a scholar working with Kanchi University right now in Advaita Vedanta. So that is about myself. As far as my Laukika life is concerned, I'm working as an operations manager in an IT firm, and I do my research on a part-time basis. And as far as my channel is concerned, the channel was originally started in Tamil, for the purpose of debunking various conspiracies and myths against Indian nationalism and Hindutva. So I first started on the Aryan Dravidan myth, then on the Brahmin hatred in Tamil Nadu. That is a huge part of the division politics that is happening here, breaking India politics that is happening here. So then I went on to certain granthas of Bharati, Subramanya Bharatiyar, who was a great philosopher and poet in Tamil Nadu. Then I started these English videos only after watching your video with Chris Shelton. I thought, like, I had a lot of things to say. And if you want to hear the background story about why I came to be here, what is my nationalistic motivation that may led me here, I will say that as well.
Yes, please do. This is fascinating. Thank you.
Yes. So I was in social media for more than 5 years, and I am associated with the Bharatiya Janata Party as well in social media. So some 3 4 years back, when this scandal was happening, we had a group of guys. This is not an official group or anything like that. Just a group of guys. Okay, and we used to be together for opposing all the anti-Hindu forces, the real anti-Hindu forces in Facebook. So what happened was, like, some of these fellows were just making some comments on Nithyananda, and you know how it was at that time 3 years back. So the gang descended down on them and they started cursing them,
Yes.
all horrible curses and stuff. So my guys came and asked me, like, what can we do? What can we do to react? So we reacted a little bit. Then I said, okay, anyways, he is a Hindu monk. We are not going to react. We will stop at this. We just showed them what can be done, and then we stopped. So I think around 50, 60 fake accounts were closed at that time.
Wow.
So this is what we did from our end. So after that, recently when he opened up this Kailasha nonsense, one fellow was actually making a post stating he has created a Saiva country. We have to create a Vaishnavite country. And where is this Vaishnavite country going to be? Between Trichy and Srirangam. Give it to us separately. In Tamil Nadu. Inside Tamil Nadu, give us a separate Vaishnavite country. He is opening a Saivite country. So this kind of discourse was happening. I actually thought he was, making fun. He was making some kind of a, satire. So I went and asked. He suddenly started arguing very seriously. So I understood, okay, this fellow has got a pull and he is creating all these kinds of ripples in the Hindu society, and this is becoming a nationalistic divide as well. And when I watched his videos, I also saw that he is using the breaking India force, which is he is casually saying they are opposing me because I am not a Brahmin.
Mm.
I hope Rajiv Malhotra ji listens to this.
Yes.
Yes, because this is exactly what he is against. So that is the reason why I came in. I wanted to reach international audience. That is the reason why I spoke in English about this issue alone.
That's
Yes, go
wonderful.
ahead.
Yes, thank you so much. And I also really hope Rajiv ji sees this and
Mm.
breaks his silence, because till now, um, I know just through observation that he hasn't publicly supported the fraud Nithyananda. And I say the fraud Nithyananda because I want to distinguish between him and the authentic Nithyananda ji, um, who practices in a different sampradaya, or the historic Nithyanandas. Um,
Yes.
but Rajiv ji, he is somebody who I have great respect for, and I've read his books. I appreciate his books. I can understand the truth in his books. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the first I read was Being Different. And,
Mm-hmm.
as a Westerner who was born in a Catholic family, um,
Mm-hmm.
it's easy to be blind to the kind of subtle racism and anti-religious sentiments that people have in the world towards Hindus. And it wasn't until, reading some of Rajiv ji's work and understanding that, in academia, the Christian theology classes always have a Christian person at their head, and the Jewish theology classes always have a Jewish person, usually a rabbi, at their head. But when Hinduism is taught in Western schools, it's taught by either a Christian or an atheist, not by an actual Hindu. Um, and so that's why it's relegated to mythology instead of being taught as history or as something viable. Um, I think having somebody as articulate as Rajiv Malhotra to explain this to the world in the language spoken by academics is something truly valuable. Um, And I do believe that his support for the fraud who calls himself Nithyananda, I think that it was coming from the right place. I think he truly wanted this fraud to be a good, authentic guru, because if he had been everything he claimed to be, he would have been such a positive force in the world. Um,
Yes.
so I can totally understand why somebody like Rajiv ji, who has his own motivations and his own body of work, I can totally see why he would distance himself from this entire situation, because it's almost like a mar or a mark against all the good work he's done, is kind of this joke or this farce that he's also supported such an obvious fraud.
Mhm.
Um,
Yes, but only thing here I wanted to raise, because I am always raising this question in my videos,
hmm,
so I'll also raise the same question here. So one thing I know about Rajiv Malhotra ji for a fact is that he has got his basics right.
yeah.
As far as the basics of Hinduism one is concerned, I think he is good. But even in the very same video that Rajiv ji is speaking with Nithyananda, I think only very small portion of it is available today, because they spoke so many things. So I think there is some kind of black magic involved there, as far as I am concerned. I either hypnotism or brainwashing or black magic, whatever you want to call it, that is involved there. Because categorically Rajiv ji has told in many interviews that he does not wear any religious marks because he does not belong to one particular sector of Hinduism. But if you watch in that video, he is sitting like any other Nityananda disciple, wearing all the vibhuti, kumkum, everything. So I don't know what sort of state he was in at that time, or whether if that is the reason why he is not speaking right now. These are questions which have to be answered about such a great scholar and such a great person who is funding academic research for Hinduism today. So one more thing you forgot to inform, or you forgot to include about Rajiv ji, is that the main reason why there is no accurate information about Hinduism, not only being taught, not even books or papers are available, is because all research is funded by various parties with vested interests in going against Hinduism, or at least shadowing Hinduism. So what Rajiv ji is doing through his Infinity Foundation and Swadeshi Indology is that he is creating not only think tanks but also scholarships for scholars from India who are going abroad to do research papers, and they are independent to do what they want. They are able to give their real output of the research. Being a scholar, this is very, very important for me. Some of the scholars that I know have also been benefited from this program. I'm very thankful to that.
Hmm.
So that being said, that is my information on this.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I can I don't presume to know what was going on within Rajiv ji's inner space, but I can say for a fact the interview that he did, this 3-hour interview, that has
Hmm.
turned almost into a meme on social media, where he and the fraud discuss, for example, starting a bank where billionaires can invest and then get their money back in their next birth. Um,
Yes.
that interview took place
Hmm.
after a program called Mahasadashivoham, that was a 30-day program held in the Bididi ashram, where every single day participants, including Rajiv ji, he was a participant of that program,
Hmm.
participants were sleep deprived. The morning yoga started around 5 a.m. and participants had to be there. It was mandatory. Everyone wore an ID badge that they would scan on their way into and out of the hall. So the programs team, which was led by a lady named Ma Nithyananda Swami, the programs team kept track of who is in the hall and who is outside of the hall. So if anybody was not there, absenteeism was not permitted. Someone with the organization would go to their room to retrieve them. And so you've mentioned if there was some kind of black magic going on. I don't know about black magic, but I can say for a fact what psychologists refer to as brainwashing. There was plenty of
Yes.
brainwashing tactics being implemented. Um, the group mentality and group think. You know, people were told
Mm-hmm.
They weren't told to explore their consciousness and discuss their experiences. They were told what their experiences were going to be. Suggestibility is big in people who are sleep deprived. So
Very true. Mm.
yeah, so I can say for maybe 30 days leading up to that interview, Rajiv ji had less than 4 hours of sleep per night for a month in a row. And
Oh my God,
neuroscience,
at that age.
at that age, yes.
My
And
God.
neuroscientists have found that, for example, having 6 hours of sleep instead of the recommended 7 or 8 hours of sleep will drastically reduce a person's cognitive function. And so imagine 4 hours of sleep instead of six. Um, Besides that, the morning
Yes.
yoga included extremely loud music. And this is something that people who have attended programs in the frauds organization, they would complain about vehemently and ask, can't this music be turned down a little bit? We're talking volume levels that would rival a heavy metal concert. Like the
Oh
music
my
was
God.
so loud, somebody could be shouting into your ear and you wouldn't hear them. And so in my own research about cults and how cults operate, I've found that sensory overload, like loud music, like the flashing lights that they would have, combined with
Okay.
sleep deprivation, makes it so that people don't have the freedom to think their own thoughts. It's so ironic because when you decide to go to a meditation program, um,
You
in
accept peace and quiet.
exactly. You expect it to be quiet. The goal is to reach your space of inner silence. That wasn't permitted in his organization. Um, but anyhow, we can maybe save this for a future discussion, maybe what
Yes, yes,
influenced or badly influenced Rajiv ji. For now,
yes. I'm
I
sorry.
think,
I'm digressing. Yeah.
yes, thank you.
Mm.
But I do want to thank you for bringing this up because people have asked me,
Mm-hmm.
why don't I make a video against him or call him out or demand that he apologize to the public for having supported that fraud? And I don't want to do that because I consider him a great living scholar. He's a living
Very true.
treasure to humanity. And I feel that anything he said or did in support of that fraud, he is as much a victim of that cult as I was. And whether he's public about that or not, whether he's still brainwashed or whether he's free for whatever reason, if he hasn't spoken to the public yet, I
That is
don't
his own reason.
various reason. I think it's just it's his prerogative and hopefully someday he
Yes.
will come forward. But
Yes, that is correct.
thank you. So the first question I have for you, this was actually submitted by one of my patrons on a platform called Patreon. I
Okay.
let the people who kind of fund and support my channel know in advance that I'd be interviewing you. And a patron named Shiloh has asked, how can someone new to Hinduism or to spirituality in general verify that a piece of information is valid, trustworthy, and likely to benefit their lives?
Okay, so this is the core question, very basic question that we need to address because this is where all the problems are starting. So basically, if you look at the history of the Eastern spirituality to the Western world, we can say it started with two organizations in particular, the Theosophical Society and the Brahma Samaj. So these were the two organizations in pre-independent India. One organization, that is the Theosophical Society, is where Western scholars, like you can have very differing opinion on them, but they are essentially scholars like Annie Besant, General Olcott, and then Leadbeater, Madame Blavatsky. All these people, Max Muller, all these people, they got interest in Indian spirituality and they came and explored it here. And Brahma Samaj was started by Dayananda Saraswati, another Dayananda Saraswati Swami. There are two Dayananda Saraswati Swamis in Indian history. The previous Dayananda Saraswati Swami started this organization. They also reached out. Then the huge boom for Indian spirituality happened during Swami Vivekananda's speech. So from that point onwards, and then Paramahamsa Yogananda, and then Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, during the New Age movement, it became very, very big. Osho, Rajneesh, all these people. And after that, so many other Westerners also went there. So first, let us see what is the Acharya Lakshana. And before looking into the Acharya Lakshana, whatever I am speaking is based on the Shastras. And the greatest Guru of all times is Sri Krishna. We call him Jagat Guru. Okay, and his Gita is one of the three canons of Sanatanic Hinduism, that is Upanishads, Brahma Sutra, and Bhagavad Gita. These are the three things, and the most approachable one of these three is the Bhagavad Gita, because it deals with every possibility of spirituality, every possibility of a seeker. So he is saying Tasmat Shastram Pramanam Te Karya Akarya Vivastitav, meaning, for me, Shastra is the pramana or the proof for deciding what can be done and what cannot be done. Krishna is saying this in Bhagavad Gita. So we will go to a Upanishad called as this one. One second. It is called as this Advaya Raksha Upanishad. Okay, Advaya Raksha Upanishad. This is a sub Upanishad of the Rig Veda. And there the Acharya Lakshanam is given. Acharya Lakshanam meaning quality of the Guru is given. And this is the quality of the Guru which is given. Acharyo Veda Sampanno Vishnu Bhakto Vimatsaraha Yogajno Yoga Nishtascha Sada Yogatmaka Suchihi. And then, so this is the very basic thing that is given. Okay, now what is this? Acharyo Veda Sampanno. An Acharya is endowed or has the wealth of the Vedas. And here Veda means two things. One is the Veda themselves and the entire Veda collection, which is Veda, Shastras, Upanishads, everything together. So Acharyo Veda Sampanno. And then Vishnu Bhakto. Here Vishnu means all pervading. So he should be a Bhakta or he should be a devotee of the ultimate truth. And then Vimatsaraha. This is a very, very important word. Vimatsaraha meaning Matsara is the quality of ego, or Matsara is the quality of envy, that is wanting to have self-expression. So an Acharya must not have self-expression. Must not have self-expression, and he must be yogajno. He must be an authority on yoga, and he must be a owner of yoga, as in a yogajno meaning he is the ultimate owner of yoga, which means he should have practiced and he should have mastered the technique. And also yoga nishtaha. So he should always be thinking about yoga nishtha, only about yoga. And finally, sada yogatmakaha. So his entire being should be filled always with the union with the oneness. And finally, suchihi, clean. Clean in the sense of financial transactions, clean in the sense of body, clean in the sense of mind, clean in the sense of antakarana and vak. That is in words and in action, in deeds, everything. So these are the qualities which are given for the Acharya. So these are the qualities that we need to look for. And there are two words which are very, very important in Bhagavad Gita while describing an Acharya. That is Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam. Shrotriyam meaning a person who is well versed in the Shastras. That is the first quality. Second quality is Brahmanishtam, meaning he should always be, his entire being should be concentrated on the ultimate, which means everything else should be secondary to him, starting right from the way in which he dresses, the way in which he presents itself, or the way in which people perceive him. All these things must be nothing to him. So they do not care. So if these are the qualities available in a guru, you can say he is acceptable. Another very important shloka from this one, Bhagavad Gita, is Jnaninaha Tattvadarshinaha. These are another two words which Krishna is using in the 34th shloka of the 4th chapter. That is Tadviddi Pranipadena Pariprashnena Sevaya Upateshyanti Te Jnanam Jnaninaha Tattvadarshinaha. Meaning, Tadviddi, if you want to know that, know what? Know the ultimate knowledge of the Brahman. Okay, you have to do three things. One is Pranipadena, go and bow down to the Guru. And then Pariprashnena, ask the question with only purpose of knowing the truth. You should not ask the question just to know the information, or you should not ask the question just for testing the Guru or anything like that. You should ask the question with the ultimate thirst. And finally, Sevaya. You should be doing the seva for the Guru and asking this question. And Upadeshyanti Te Jnanam, when you are asking for that Jnanam, the Guru will give it to you, and the Guru will be having two qualities. One is jnani and another one is tattvadarshi. Jnani meaning he himself must be realized, and even if he is realized, Krishna is not calling him as a guru. A person who is realized and also belonging to a lineage, if he is not belonging to a proper lineage, then he cannot be considered as a proper guru to go to. So these are the qualities that are required. And here in the purport of this particular shloka, Srila Prabhudatta in his Sadhaka Sanjeevini, he is saying a very important information. That is, he is saying there is no mention of Guru Dakshana here, okay, at all. Only three things are required: Pranipadena, Pariprashnena, Sevaya. These are the three things that which is required, okay. And there is no prepaid system here as well. So if a prepaid system is existing with a guru, that is, you pay this much amount of money beforehand before you enter into a program, then that is not a fit guru at all. So the qualities that you need to look for, the first one is he must be from a lineage, not out of his own claim, but everybody should accept that he is from a lineage. That is the first thing. Second thing is he must be well versed in the Shastras which he is teaching. If these two things are not there, then that is the problem. And in this case, in Nithyananda's case, I think reading the Shastras itself is actively dissuaded.
Yes.
So that is the problem here. So that would be my answer to this.
Thank you so much. See, and as you've been explaining this, I know from personal experience and observation of this fraud that it's not just that he doesn't have these qualities, it's that he has the exact antithesis to these qualities. You had mentioned one of the things to look for in a valid, genuine guru is that he shouldn't care about his personal appearance or how people perceive him. Whereas in the cult of the fraud Nithyananda, he was meticulous about his appearance, his stage set, and it wasn't just that he cared to look good, because I don't necessarily think that would be a crime. In an age when people are so visual and they're more likely to listen to someone if he presents himself nicely. But Nithyananda would dictate to his disciples which words to use when describing him. And so that meant they weren't able to look at him and express how they felt. They had to look at him and express how he told them to feel. What I mean by that is that he insisted that whenever people post about him on Facebook, they have to use the words, His Divine Holiness. And this wasn't a title given to him by any lineage. This was something that he assumed for himself and then demanded that people like Ranjita, who he calls Ma Nithyananda Mayi Swami, his right-hand person, scandal person, but also she really is the head of his organization. He would make her enforce that. So if anybody referred to him on social media without calling him His Divine Holiness, that person would get blasted, yelled at, publicly ridiculed, punished, maybe sent to a physical labor part of the campus. So he cared very deeply how people saw him and thought of him. At the beginning of this interview, when you were introducing yourself, you mentioned that some of your friends who are nationalists and who are very much pro-Hindu, that they were being, attacked by Nithyananda disciples on social media.
Yes, that was just for making some normal comments that anybody would make. And these were the guys like who are standing against the real anti-Hindu forces. And I think like 4 or 5 years back, Facebook, especially in India, was full of, I don't want to name the religion, but they were full of those guys, and all they will do is they will come and start writing in filthy language about Indian gods. This is all they will do. No arguments, nothing. So these guys are very raw guys who got into this thing, and they started creating fake IDs, and we started giving back in the same language. So those were the people they were abusing, just because one of them made some comment about Nithyananda, and it slowly snowballed, and finally my guys came and asked me, gee, it is happening like this, how can we react? I said, okay, we are supposed to consider them as anti-Hindu elements as well. We don't have any other go. because they are not only attacking verbally and on comments, they are also reporting the IDs. So that is the second problem. So we reacted at that time. Yeah.
I
So
understand.
and one more clarification I want to give here about being physically appealing. That is suchihi. That is already a given quality. Vimatsara and suchi, we need to know the difference. That is, you are currently, suchihi, which means you are appealing to look at and you are clean. Okay, that is fine, because like you cannot come with an oily face or something like that. That is okay. That is suchihi. But vimatsaraha meaning, like how I'm sorry to say this, how you and many other people used to be in the sangha.
Mm.
So that is opposite of vimatsara. That is high extreme self-expression, wherein kilos and kilos of makeup on the face, lots of jewels and all these things. So that is against vimatsaraha, and that is exactly what he is doing.
And not only that's what he's doing, but that was under his direct instruction.
No,
Um,
no, I know no sensible person will do that otherwise.
See, I really had a sincere desire for enlightenment. That's what drew me to his organization back in 2009. And
Mhm.
what's interesting, the first program I attended in his campus, I didn't wear a stitch of makeup. I didn't even pack or bring makeup to India. I threw it in the trash before I traveled to his campus. And
Mhm.
when I went back again in 2010, after he was released from prison, he gave a free program to all of his disciples. I had brought some of it with me in my suitcase, not to wear, but so that for my return trip back to Canada, where I'd start working again, um,
Mhm.
basically in the Western world, wearing makeup, it's not a matter of vanity. It's just how you present yourself in public. Um,
Yes.
there was a festival day where people were dressing up and dancing. And the temple priest, who was Shri Nithyananda Maharaj, he asked me, can you do your makeup and look like Kali? We're going to do a dance. And they wanted me to dress up and participate in that dance. And
Mhm.
so I'll never forget the first time I ever wore makeup in that ashram. It was for our version of a sort of a Bharatanatyam dance. And so it was for a reason, it wasn't just because. That was the only time up until then that I had ever noticed the fraud really looking at me. And the next day, I
Mhm.
had an instruction from a lady named Mama Nisha, who was you've mentioned her in some of your videos, so I know you know who she is, but for people who
No,
don't
I personally do not know her. I just
know,
mentioned because she is the one from the Landmark Forum who gave him all this completion nonsense.
exactly, you know who she
Yes.
is. So for those who don't know, she was one of the higher ups in the Landmark organization. So when she joined the Nithyananda cult, she brought with her all of the Landmark teachings, so integrity, authenticity, responsibility, completion. Um, she was one of the people personally trained by him to be an acharya on his stage. So she came up to me the next day and said, Swamiji wants you to keep wearing makeup. And so it came as a direct instruction from him. And what's really funny is that there was a time in 2017 when I was living there as a brahmacharini.
Mhm.
I was called in the middle of the night to a meeting in his courtyard. He had a group of people. He claimed it was a think tank that he was organizing. And so I immediately took a bath and put on some clean clothes and ran to this meeting. And the moment he looked at me, he looked disgusted and he said, Swarupa Priya, how dare you come in front of me undressed? And I immediately looked down to make sure I had my mala, that the sari wasn't leaving anything exposed. And he pointed at my body and he said, I'm not talking about that. And then he pointed at my face and he said, I'm talking about that. Where's your makeup? Which is how he
My God.
pronounced makeup. And he said something to the effect, I don't remember his exact words, but exactly he said, how dare you? And then something along the lines of, how dare I come in front of him without making myself look beautiful with makeup? And he told me to go back and put my makeup on, and that it was my guru vak, so direct instruction from
Oh
him.
my God.
He said, it's your guru vak, never leave your room without your full face of makeup and all the jewels. And so when you mentioned that, you know, the way I used to be when I was part of his cult and the way people
Yes.
like Janardana Sharma's daughters, Nandita
Yeah.
and Lopamudra, the reason they always appear on camera with a full face of makeup and a big fake smile and lots of ostentatious jewelry, it's not because they want to, it's because he has told them they have to.
No, I am only saying that he is compelling this on others as well. And I think, in our next, probably like I think we'll have another interview wherein this will be one of the qualities that is creating an impression of himself on the others. That is a psychological aspect of megalomania.
Yes,
Okay. Yes. So that is like if he is doing some nonsense, he wants everybody to do that nonsense.
exactly.
So exactly. So that is why that is why I consider everybody who associated with him as a victim at one level or the other. And I attended one class actually with Nithyananda, a free ASP Ananda Spurana program, the very basic level program. And the person who was standing and taking the class, the Acharya, she called herself a sannyasi, and she was having makeup and jewelry and everything. And I actually have been associated with many sannyasis in the past, and many sadhvis in the past. And I was like, that was the first thing I thought, why the hell is she standing, looking like this, and she's calling herself a sannyasi? What sort of a sannyasi is she? That was the first question. Then another thing happened. I think I'll be explaining that later on, when if a question comes along the note of shastras.
Yes.
Yes.
Um,
So, yeah, can go ahead.
See, you mentioned attending that class Ananda Spurana program. That leads us into my first question for you, which is Guru Bhakti. Um,
Hmm.
when I first joined the organization, I attended the Inner Awakening program back in 2009. Um, a portion of that program was called Bhakti Spurana program, and it was 5 days within this 3 month time that we were in the ashram, where we were told how to relate to the guru with bhakti. And so we were told, when he enters the room, you should have tears in your eyes. If you don't have tears, you don't feel the true devotion. When you think of him, the tears should be flowing, the bliss tears. It was all about tears, tears, tears. And I understand that when people experience a rapturous awakening, or when somebody beholds, for example, a murti in a temple that has that living, blessed energy, it's a natural response that tears will flow. But is it typical for a guru to tell disciples that they have to cry when they see him? Is it really an authentic bhakti if somebody tells you you should be devoted, you have to love him, you have to have an overflowing gratitude?
Well, I will tell you my experience with my guru so that you can understand.
Mm,
Taking a disciple is a very, very hard process on the disciple, first of all.
mm,
They will test you in so many ways, and they will not accept you. And what my Guruji used to do is, he was living around 8 hours away from where I live, Chennai. So he will ask me to come. So I will finish my office, I will get into the bus at around 9 o'clock, and I will go. 12 o'clock, when I am half the way through, he will say, go back. Where can I get the bus at night? 12 o'clock, I have to go all the way to Vellore Junction, get back the next bus in the morning, and come back the next day to office. So like this, he did for 4 or 5 months continuously, for at least 6 or 7 times, just to test me if I am sufficiently involved in the process. So once I finally, when I went and met him the first session, naturally this happened to me, that I was like, Swami, your darshan is like this. I started. He immediately said, see, you are here to get knowledge. That is the first primary this thing. If the knowledge goes into you, it is doing something inside you. And then if you are attaining a level of bhakti, that is acceptable. But everything else is just emotional drama. Please don't do this with me. And you are not a kind of a person who is into all this emotional drama either. It is just that your desperation that is causing you to do all these things. Don't do it. That is the first thing that my guru told me. And then one more thing I wanted to tell about myself. Actually, I attained certain levels of samadhi naturally at a very young age. From the age of 8, 12, I used to attain natural levels of samadhi. I don't know what prarabdha punya karma is there for me. Previous life, some karma is there, some sadhana is there, I don't know. So when I used to do this, like at the age of 16 or 17, I thought I was enlightened. I really thought I was enlightened because also of my bookish knowledge. So then I decided I must become a cult leader, not even a guru, exactly a cult leader. So I started reading up on everybody, starting from Osho all the way till Charles Manson, about manipulation techniques, voice hypnotism, all these things I learned. And I studied. And then I understood one of the things that you need to do in order to maintain a cult is to give people exact step by step instruction. If you don't do this, you are not a bhakta. If you don't do this, you are not a disciple. So if you are not getting tears, then you are not having bhakti. Actually, tears of bhakti is a high level that can happen only after a lot of practice of bhakti, after developing certain amount of devotion towards the guru through what is actually happening inside you. The moment you say Kanchi Paramacharya, I know many people who are great scholars, their logic and their rhetoric, it is at a certain different level. I am not speaking just about the research methodology that the West has explored just 200, 300 years back. I am speaking about 17,000 years of logic, and they will get tears in their eyes. The moment you say Mahapiriva, that's all. They will get tears in their eyes. So probably that kind of thing is happening because their life was touched in a certain manner. So without your life being touched in a certain manner, if somebody is suggesting this to you, then it is absolutely advertisement, because tears is valued in India. Even if you watch the movies, all the movies will have one scene that is supposed to make you cry, and this is that scene. And for comedy, we have, whenever Nithyananda opens his mouth, it is comedy scene. And fight scene is happening in the courts.
Yeah.
So we have a pakka commercial masala movie is what we call in Tamil Nadu. So masala Bollywood movie is happening there, and you are a part of the sentimental scene when you are supposed to cry. So that is, as far as Guru Bhakti is concerned, it is not a concept that can happen on the first day. It can only happen through your sadhana. You are thanking, or you are being thankful to the Guru because of your sadhana, because he gave it to me, otherwise I would still be in ignorance. When that thought comes, and the second thought towards Guru Bhakti is that a guru is a realized being, and he is also in a stage wherein he knows all the shastras and everything, and actually he can be blissful within himself, and he need not come down at all to our idiots like us and give us this. But he is giving us that thing can only happen when you have realized yourself some amount of jnana through his through the sadhana. So without that happening, if people are simply forcing you, that is not Guru Bhakti, that is just a sentimental scene they want to keep in their film production, that's all.
See, and the other thing I'd like to clarify about this is that so many people who are brainwashed by the cult leader Nithyananda, they believe that their tears are genuine bhakti, and they believe that his teachings have touched them. And most of these people are in a worse place in their lives now than when they first found him, because they've distanced their family and their friends. They've lost their jobs because of the amount of time they need to dedicate to marketing for him. He calls it enriching, so they don't know it's marketing. A lot of them have gone into major debt because of the huge payments he expects them to pay for his programs, which, the checklist you gave at the beginning of this interview disproves him as a guru, because they have to pay $16,000 in advance for a program. A lot of these people, they're in a terrible place if you compare their life before him and after him. He's had only a negative effect, but they will get the tears, and when they do his meditations, their bodies will shake and they'll believe he has awakened their kundalini. He uses the power of suggestion through hypnotic suggestion a lot, and that's why so many people believe that he's real and he's authentic. um, for some reason, a lot of his devotees will see him in their dreams, and this is something that personally happened to me. It's the reason why I ignored the media and his ex-devotees for so long. Was I would always come back to saying, but I saw him in a dream, and he looked really divine and it felt really divine. It's only in retrospect when I look back and realize in his discourses, what he calls a satsang, but
Mm-hmm.
um, one of his ex-followers, Stephen, has started to call it a sad song, and I think that's a better word for it.
I think Asat Sang would be a better word for that, because
Satsang,
everything
yes,
is Asat. Whatever he is telling
yes,
is a lie.
exactly. And
Yes.
we can call him Nithyananda because it's not permanent, it's not an eternal bliss. Um,
Yes.
he he would tell in his discourses, in his asatsang, that we will see him in a dream. And he would say it repetitively with a lot of force while we're sleep deprived and while we're suggestible. And so, on some level, it would enter into our psychology. And then, when it happened that we saw him in a dream, we believed it was a divine happening. And so, we didn't come to the conclusion that he was hypnotically suggesting himself into us, or that he was falsely implanting bhakti where there wasn't actually a good experience. And I think this is why so many of his current disciples, they are so quick to defend him, even though their lives are falling apart because of him. They're very defensive of him because they believe that they've had this real experience.
Yes. So here I want to clarify one thing, that is, see, if you are with him for an year's time, and then if people are asking you to have tears, that is different. Okay. But if you are just entering your first program, this happened to me in Anandaspurana program, the introduction to one process wherein they are running one huge, your mother, you should be thankful to your mother, think about your mother, think about your father, think about this person, think about that person, finally think about the guru. They are just doing an emotional, slowly they are raising your emotion to a level wherein you are able to relate to everything that is already there in your life, like your mother, father, everything. And finally they are saying only a person who has got a heart of stone will not get tears in this process.
Yes. Yeah.
So this is how they start the process. And I immediately thought, I have seen, and we are speaking about the Bhakti Spurana program. It is authentic information that the entire Bhakti Spurana program, including the audio, is from another BSP. Another BSP, it is called Bhava Spandana program, belonging to another organization. So it was entirely stolen by him.
Yes.
And that program is also an emotional roller coaster. So I feel that the whole concept of Guru Bhakti is something. Bhakti has to happen from inside. It cannot be induced from outside, because hundreds of people are going to the temple. There are 4 reasons why you can be a bhakta of a guru or of a god. There are only 4 reasons. Either artha bhakti, that is, you can be in bhakti because you are in trouble, you are in immeasurable pain, that the only resource that is left to you is god. So you are crying out like Gajendra, like Draupadi, you are crying out in crisis. So that is one sort of bhakti. So once the crisis is over, then you will leave that. Second sort of bhakti that can happen is called arthartha bhakti, meaning when you want something, you are asking god. So that is second level. Third level is jignasu bhakti. So for guru, the first 2 levels are not there. It is starting with jignasu bhakti, which means you want to know the truth. That is the reason why you are giving the bhakti. You are in the state of bhakti. So if that is happening, then jignasu bhakti will lead to jnanam, because jignasu is jnanate, the ability of searching for jnana. So when that jnana is happening inside you, that is when actual guru bhakti will start. Otherwise you can respect him as a learned person, you can respect him as a scholar, you can respect him because he is doing so much service to the dharma. All these things are fine, but tears and all cannot happen if there is no knowledge happening inside. And one more thing, you are speaking about dreams. I have another perspective on that apart from psychological perspective. Whatever materialization has happened, all this materialization in the hand, I'm not speaking about the diamonds and other things, those are stage magic. So as far as the other materializations which is happening in the hand of the disciples and other things, so if you are ready to spend around 5 to 10 lakh rupees, Indian rupees, and 4 months in Kerala, you can learn these things, going in one person's dream, threatening a person with a demon. Either you can go in a demonic form or in a very divine form, however you want. You can project yourself. All these things you can learn, and all of these things are against the Vedic dharma, and all of these things are using what we can call as very, very gross level celestial beings. So I believe in all these things because it is a reality for me. There may be those who do not believe in that. They can take the psychology route. So as far as I am concerned, it is 20 percentage or at least 30 percentage of all these things. Rest of it is cult psychology. So
Yes.
that is how bhakti cannot happen from outside. It has to happen from inside.
Yes. And here's where his psychology comes into play, is that everything that you're saying, he will say that, but twisted in a way that serves him. He'll say, yes, the acharyas told you to have tears and to that only somebody with a heart of stone won't cry, but your response to that comes from within you, so it's authentic. He would basically dupe somebody and tell them, but you can't be duped. And so the ego within his disciples that feels nobody could lie to me and I would believe them, so he must be telling the truth. It's like he would, in a very warped way, he would use a person's intelligence against them and basically say, you are too intelligent to bring yourself into this meditation hall for the wrong reason. So if you're here, I must be authentic. And
Circular logic.
yes, exactly. Exactly. And then it's not only the Guru Bhakti that was fake. I also want to point out the person who taught Bhakti's Purana program, his name was Nithyananda, Sri Nithyananda Maharaj. He has since left and spoken to the media in Tamil Nadu about how he knows for a fact that the sex scandal with Ranjita was real. And he left the organization, he's gotten married, he has disowned the fake guru. I think he's living as a dentist. I don't know his legal name. But there is a video on YouTube of him saying that the whole thing was a fraud. And he's the person who, sat on the stage as the acharya, creating the bhakti in all of us. And so I think people who are current disciples of this fraud, they should take into consideration the fact that people like myself who used to stand on that stage holding that silly lion stick that he gave me, dressed up as a Devi because he told me to, people like us who he used to put in front of the camera as his advocates, when we wake up and have the good sense to leave, that says a lot about him. If he was genuine, those of us who came with all good intentions to live Hinduism and become sannyasis and to serve his mission, we wouldn't have left so easily unless he really truly is fake. He messed up, not us. A lot of people say that we lost the guru. That's not true. He had really sincere people coming to him, and he wasn't able to live the authentic lifestyle he claimed. And so we got out.
Actually, my biggest regret is that, I have been into spirituality for this long, and my life situation is not allowing me full-time spirituality. I'm sorry. But with whatever part-time I can do, it is achievable, very easily achievable. Only it will take 1.5 times more than what it would normally take. That is how the system is. But not only you, everybody who had the opportunity to live in the ashram, they are able to, because of their good karma and because of their ability, because of their intensity, they are able to create the external life situations in such a manner that they are able to live a full spiritual life. And actually they got worse because of that. That is my biggest regret with what he has done. If a person like you, with this kind of intensity and with this kind of ability to dedicate your life, if you would have gone to a proper traditional guru, then your life would be totally different. I cannot promise enlightenment or anything, but at least I think 20-30 lifetimes of karmas will be reduced for you. But now I am really afraid of one thing, that is, when we are being many of the disciples, even today I was speaking to one person and she was telling me she lost all the money to him, and after that she is unable to earn. And she was asking me why. I said, I have a theory about this. When you are giving money for a good cause, it is coming back to you as good karma. But when he is spending your money to bait more people and to raise cases against people, against innocent people, that bad karma will also come to you. So for anybody who is giving donation to Nithyananda, please understand you are buying bad karma, because he is going to spend that money to harm people, including you. So that is something which I want to say very, very strongly. Similarly, if you are spending time and energy for him, you are actually spending your time and energy, and that time and energy he is using to affect people, he is using to harm people. So that will also only become bad karma for you. And all of you have got beautiful opportunity in this lifetime itself to pursue spirituality full time, at least for a time being. That itself is a very hard thing to do for a normal human being. So you are able to do that, and he misused that. And also another note, like you said, none of the disciples, even the hardcore people, I am even including Ranjita in this, she might have become an egomaniac demon right now, that I don't care. But as for even including Ranjita, the only culprit in the entire show is Nithyananda, and he is the person who is bringing out the worst in the people. And I am really thankful that, from your interviews I can understand you have still remained at least neutral, and still remained at least inert to all his manipulations, and has not become an abusive person. But I hear about so many disciples of his, like, when I'm telling this person abused me, somebody is suddenly telling, no, no, that person is a very, very sweet person, I know him 3 years back. So this is the kind of reaction that I am getting. So I think that he is bringing the worst out of people, because he is that kind of a character. He has got only the worst in him, so he is bringing out the worst out of people.
Yes, it's true. And the on the line of disciples of his abusing people, I'm not innocent in that either. I also abused people online because he told us to. And the way he did the mental manipulation is that he read us. He had a series of children's books about the Tamil Nayanar saints, and these were like illustrated comic books in English, but about the Tamil Nayanars. And he would systematically make a lady named Mahayoga. She was like his main stage magician.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I know her.
okay, so she would read, for example, a story of one of the Nayanar saints doing puja to Shiva, and that Nayanar's father disrespected him during the puja, and so he took a machete and cut off his father's foot. And then Mahayoga,
Chandikeshwara Nayanar, yes.
yes. So without understanding the context, without understanding the history of the Nayanars, without understanding um, anything really, Mahayoga would tell us, okay, if this man cut off his own father's foot for disrespecting the puja, then if somebody calls your guru a fraud, how are you going to do the social media equivalent of cutting off their foot? Attack. He would type in all capital letters. Nithyananda himself would come into the Adinavasi chat, and he would type Akraman and tell us, you have to attack anybody who's disrespecting him. And he said, if they call your guru a rapist, you call their mother a rapist. If they call your guru a fraud, you say that the mother slept with a dog in order to have him as the child. Like, he would tell us specifically which insults to say to people who disrespected him. And see, the team that I led in the Adinam was called the social media team. And it was my job, like my responsibility was to make everybody in the Adinam do a video about their lifestyle, their morning yoga, the sattvic food that they were eating, or how they greeted people in the welcome center. Um, it was very staged. They could only say good things and leave out all the difficulties. But there was another team led by a guy named Sharabeshwar, a North Indian guy who'd come as a disciple. He led a team called Trishul team, and their job was to lead all the social media fighting. So anybody who insulted the fraud, he would make those people sometimes sit for 10, 12 hours straight, reporting all of that person's posts, as you said had happened to some of your friends. They would send private messages to mutual friends of those people saying, did you know that he raped a girl? For example, there was a man in Tamil Nadu who had written an essay showing that Nithyananda is a cult leader, that he fits the profile of a psychopath. This happened right after the Vairamuttu incident, where all the Gurukul kids were swearing in videos.
Okay.
So a scholar in Tamil Nadu had written an article against the fraud Nithyananda, and the Trishul team called all the Tamil speakers in the campus to basically send messages to this man's wife saying he's a rapist, he's a child molester, don't you know he's done this? Ask him about these girls that he's sleeping with. And so it wasn't just, you know, a public attack on these people or swearing at them. Nithyananda wanted his disciples to literally ruin people's lives if they spoke against him. And
Actually,
he
yes.
claimed that they
I
were becoming, sorry,
Yeah,
just the last thing I want to say here, those
yeah.
people don't even consider that an attack or a bad thing, because he told them, by doing this, you are becoming a living Nayanar.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay. Let me just explain that context first. So the time of Nayanars, which is the Bhakti movement, was the time when Jainism completely overtook Tamil Nadu. It was the Pallava time. There are two Pallava times. One is the Buddhist Pallava time, and another one is the Samskrita Pallava time. So the university to which I belong to was built by the Pallava kings, the Samskrita Pallava kings. And at that time, all these Nayanmars happened, and they were facing such a terrible social, injustice. And there is two things at that point of time, just to understand the intensity of the, social this thing that was happening. Basically, there is two things. One is called as Kandumuttu, and another one is Kettumuttu. That is, if you are listening to a person who is saying Om Namah Shivaya, your entire body has become impure. That is called Kettumuttu. Muttu means an impure condition. So Kandumuttu means, Kettumuttu means by listening to that you have become impure. And Kandumuttu is if you are seeing a person wearing vibhuti, then you are in a stage of Kandumuttu wherein by looking at that person you have become impure. So this is the condition wherein the Nayanmars were starting this war. And also this war did not happen on an abusive level at all. This war did not happen on a violent level at all. This entirely happened on the intellectual level. And when when Nithyananda's people were abusing on the social media, they were only coming off as childish, and they were coming off as violent jerks who are simply abusing for the sake of abusing with no substance behind that. What happened with the Nayanmars, for example, Appar Swamigal, who is also known as Marul Nikiyar, he went to each and every scholarly movement in the Jainism, and he argued against Jainism intellectually. He proved Saiva Siddhanta, he proved Advaita, and he proved that the Buddhism and the Jainism approach is wrong. And that is why he is called as Marul Nikiyar. Marul means, dangerous knowledge, not even ignorance, dangerous knowledge. So he is the remover of the dangerous knowledge, and this is what Appar Swamigal did. Similarly, Tirnavukarasar can simply move people by his bhakti. He will simply go there. A young boy, 8-year-old boy is coming and standing in front of you, and he is singing about Shiva. Your heart will melt. And when your heart is melting, immediately the boy will ask a very intelligent question. See, if you are saying there is no Atma inside you as a Jaina, then what melted inside you when I sang this? So is it just your emotions or something more than that? So this is the level in which the argument happened with the Nayanmars, and nobody ever who is abusive, violent, or who is causing harm to others, who is in the state of himsa, can be a spiritual person at all. What he actually did was he antagonized the entire society against him by this abuse campaign. And he actually, when especially the curses, it is ridiculous, seriously. So there is nothing more to say about it. I used to laugh at that. I used to get a lot of personal messages from people. I will immediately do only one thing. I'll just give my phone number and say, I dare you to call me. I dare you to call me. Not even one single person called me so far.
No.
And no, no blocking, nothing happened to me, probably because of my, party status or something, I don't know. But usually, I see them only as keyboard warriors, which is, there are a lot of people like that. real life they will not do anything. That is how we grade them. When the Nithyananda disciples were abusing, okay, we thought that okay, these are once again keyboard warriors, and moreover, like we thought they are being paid to do that and all those things. Finally, when what you are saying, I think he considered this as a part of the guru seva.
Yes, he did. And
Yes,
they were definitely not being paid to do it. They were being driven by fear. He
yes, I
told,
understand.
you know, if you scroll on Facebook and you see somebody has insulted the guru, if you don't attack that person, curse that person, invoke Kala Bhairava and tell them that Kala Bhairava will destroy them, or invoke Mahakali, then you are
uh,
guilty of Guru Droha. You did a beautiful video debunking his false claims of Guru Droha. But the way that he used the term Guru Droha, it wasn't just if you actively question him or leave him or disobey him. It was also if you see somebody else question him or disobey him and you don't attack that person, it's Guru Droha. Very similar to the way Chris Shelton and Leah Remini describe Scientology, those tactics.
yes. So yes, go ahead, go ahead.
Yes, so I was also going to ask you just once more. I'll put a link to your channel in my video description, because I feel that anybody who is deprogramming from the cult abuse of the Nithyananda cult, a lot of them still have the fear. It's like a little voice in the back of their head saying, but what if this is a test? There's a lady who I was very good friends with in that cult. She was actually with me in Toronto when two of the kids who were in the Nithyananda Gurukul told us about being beaten by their acharyas, by Madhvait, who forced the kids to beat each other under Nithyananda's instruction. Um, she witnessed those kids crying and saying that they don't want to go back. And she's
Hmm.
actually a school principal, and that she has a doctorate in psychology. And even she was questioning this at the time, saying maybe it's his Leela. You know, maybe he's created this situation to test our faith, to test our devotion, to test our surrender. Um, I know that she's not alone in that. A lot of people who are very intelligent, who are well educated, um, they are so badly brainwashed by him that even though they know kids were beaten in his school that claims to be ahimsa, even though he was sexually active with men and women and also children, um, they think that anything he does is good because they believe he's Mahasadashiva. And they also believe that if they have a doubt in him, they are bad. And so their whole goal is to let go of their doubts, to accept whatever terrible things he does, and to be good disciples. Um, how would you answer this? For example, this lady said to me specifically, he's purifying us by putting us into this intense fire. Some of them even mentioned Sita, how Mata Sita had to go into the fire to prove her chastity to the people of Ayodhya. Uh, they've said that, okay, Nityananda is creating all of this fire with the scandal, and it's our responsibility as disciples to go through that fire unscathed, for our devotion to stay strong, no matter what he's done or what people say he's done.
Well, actually, this example. I will start with the same example. Sita's case, Rama never asked her to step into fire, neither in Valmiki Ramayana nor in Kamba Ramayana. Those words are not there. So all that happened was she came with proper makeup that fits a queen, all the jewels and everything, because she is seeing Rama after such a long time. And two things happened here. One is Rama went with his tree bark dress and went as a Vanaprastha, a forest dweller, through his vow to his father. Because of the vow that he gave to his stepmother, his father gave to the stepmother. So she broke that. That is the first problem. Second problem is, so many Vanaras have lost their lives in the battle. and she is coming all dressed up and happy looking. So people may think that, she will be in a condition wherein this is how she was in with Ravana as well. So in order to dispel that doubt, this is not a leela, this is clearly a logical thing that a king or a leader must do, because the leader must be beyond doubt, the leader's wife must be beyond even the leader's doubt. So there is no doubt involved there. So he simply abused her a little bit, and immediately she volunteered to step into the fire. So this is a misconception which I want to clear right up. She is asking Lakshmana to light the fire, and she is saying, I will come out alive without any damage if I am pure. So this is Sita's decision and not Rama's decision at all. That being said, second thing, you can call anything as a leela, any abuse as a leela, or any bad behavior or any wrong character as a leela if you want to. But the problem is, if it is a leela that has happened, if it is only testing you that has happened, then will he test you at the cost of the entire organization? First thing I want to make very clear here is, as far as the reports are concerned, he is a sexually potent person. He is not like a 5-year-old child or anything like that. And as far as the report on the video is concerned, it is not a morphed video, it is a real video. So will you put your entire organization, your entire mission at risk for testing the existing disciples? So this is something that not even a logical person will do. If you are saying you are the ultimate logical person, then you will never do that. And the problem here is, the more intelligent you are, the more brainwashed you will get, because you have something called as intellectual ego. So it will be very, very hard to convince a simple person who does not know anything. No, you have to make his basic senses believe in things. You have to make his basic common sense believe in what you are saying. But when you are having that intellectual ego, it is very easy to point out to you and say, nobody can fool me because I am so intelligent. And if somebody is saying something which I myself don't understand, then that person must be more intelligent than me. This is the common concept that we have. So when he is speaking, whatever he is speaking is nonsense. So people cannot understand nonsense. People cannot make sense out of nonsense. But since it is given in a setting wherein, he is considered as a wise person, we think that, okay, this should be wisdom. We are not able to understand it, so it is wisdom. So I used to ask my guru, Swami, I am not able to understand this. Is this beyond me? When he is telling me something, he will say, if that is the case, then I am not fit to sit here and teach you.
Wow.
My work is to make sure that you understand. I have to come down to your level in order to take you up to my level. That is the work of the guru. So if that is not the case, then whatever he is telling will become logic for you slowly. And this is, as you said, clear brainwashing. And for anybody in the condition of Guru Droha is only two things, as I explained in my previous video. Only two things. One is, if you are going to the Guru with some other intention other than spirituality. You are going to the Guru with some other intention other than spirituality, that is Guru Droha. You cannot go to a Guru to learn about him and come out and speak bad about him. That is not the reason why anybody went to Nithyananda. I am 100% sure you cannot even point out to one single person who went to him with the purpose of defaming him. That is clear Guru Droha. Another Guru Droha, yeah.
$1,000 with that. Yes, you're right.
Yes. So all these, planned agents, all this nonsense that he is speaking about is literally bullshit, because nobody would risk their life like this. So everybody had their own story, their authentic waking up moment wherein they saw the reality and they came out. So that is one thing. Second thing is, second condition of Guru Droha is, you are faking your credential. This will go hand in hand. You are faking your credential, that is Guru Droha. So these are the only two conditions which are considered as Guru Droha. And if you are not following the path, that is not considered Guru Droha. And if you are questioning the Guru, that is not at all considered as Guru Droha, because questioning is the way in which the entire system operates. I think Sanatana Dharma is not a belief-based system. It is a complete research-based analysis. You can ask n number of questions, and that is the reason why the book will be 30 pages and the arguments of the opponent will be like 90-80 pages in every book that you take, in every commentary. So that is allowed. And if I am simply accepting what my Guru is telling, he will create doubt in me. It is called Stuna Nihanana Nyaya, wherein a pillar is being put in the ground, and then you have to throw stones at the pillar to see if it is strong enough. So if I am not having doubt, he will create doubt. See, I told like this, why don't you ask like this? So what I am saying is wrong. So I will say, Swami, I myself am not getting all these doubts. Why are you putting it inside me? No, you ask that. So then he will answer that sufficiently and say, this is the reason why it is like this. So asking questions or thinking bad about the guru or speaking bad about the guru is not guru droha. It is either your immaturity. That is one thing. If the guru is genuine and if you are having some misunderstanding about him, it is your immaturity. You are the loser. That's all. Or if it is a real doubt that you are asking, it is the duty of the guru to clarify or step down. As simple as that. Gurus have stepped down in India because they are not intelligent enough to answer the students' doubts. Gurus have become disciples. Guru Namachivayar, Guga Namachivayar story, Goraknath, Matsyendranath story. All these stories, what is happening is the guru is telling, you be my guru to the disciple. That is the nature of this culture. So there is no Guru Droha for anybody who has left Nithyananda or who is planning to leave Nithyananda. In fact, they are currently in a state of Guru Droha because they are approaching Hinduism with the wrong intention of instant wisdom and instant spirituality, which is not at all possible. They are dissuaded from sadhana, and they are still thinking that they can achieve without sadhana. That is the droha that they are doing for all the gurus who have spent entire lifetimes creating sadhanas.
And in fact, by listening to you describe your guru's response to you not understanding something, if he says, okay, if you don't understand it, it's not your ineptitude, it's his inability to make it understandable. There was an incident during the program called Mahasadashivoham, where the fraud who calls himself Nithyananda, he was sitting on his giant, silver-plated throne on his stage, explaining to the disciples there who had paid 16,000 USD for the program.
My God.
He was explaining to them his idea of the 25 states of consciousness. And to explain that, he was using a diagram of a picture of Mahasadashiva with 25 faces. And he was describing, it's not just the 25 faces visible, there's matter and antimatter. So the 25 visible faces, on the reverse side, there's the anti-face. And that each of the faces has a different designation for the number of consciousness units within it. So he's going into this mathematical equation where he says, for example, the 5 faces on the base of the pyramid, this one has this many units, this one that many units. On the reverse side, it's that many antimatter units. Then he told everyone to sit down and calculate by multiplying all of the visible and all of the invisible faces going around in a cone, how much consciousness is there. And he sat back on his throne, scrolling through something on his iPad, every once in a while looking up and yelling at people, no discussion, no talking to each other, do the maths. And then at the end, he asked, okay, how many people came to this number? And he'd say some number like 1,582,976. And if somebody rose their hand, he would say, well, fool, sit. And then he'd say, how many got a lower number? And then he would make fun of those people and say they were the stupidest because how could it be lower than 1 million? And then finally, the next day, one of his disciples in the green room asked him, what was the actual number? What's the result of that calculation? And he said, there is no result. It's impossible. And he said the only reason he made the people sit to do those calculations was to put them into total, utter confusion so that the next time he comes to give a discourse, he can say, it's impossible for you to understand this. So believe me when I tell you what it is, because I'm the only one here who can comprehend it. So he literally created a situation to make his disciples not question him, but question themselves. He wanted people to feel stupid. He didn't want them to question him. He wanted them to question themselves so that they would just at base value believe whatever he tells them. So that's really based on the true understanding of a Vedic or of a proper guru. He did the exact opposite.
Yes, actually, there is a dichotomy here, which is causing all these things. People usually think, okay, because it is not logical. Spirituality is not logical. This is what the New Age gurus have created.
Mm,
The problem here is, Brahman is not logical. There is no doubt about it. The ultimate truth is beyond the mind. There is no doubt about it. But the way in which you need to reach is absolutely intelligent. It is absolutely logical. There is no doubt about it. The system is so logical. You have to go through grammar first of all to understand the right meaning of words. Starting right from there all the way till the end, everything is absolutely logical. Only thing that you cannot understand is the final ultimate truth, but you will realize that you are that Tattvamasi. So that will happen. So when that is happening, there will be no requirement for logic. But still, as far as the Vyavagarika Satya is concerned, which is the dualistic world, still logic applies.
mm.
Shankara cannot ask Astamalaga to say, you become the guru, I become the disciple. That is not going to happen. He may say, na gurur naiva sishya chidananda rupa shivogam in his nirvana shatka, but still he has to argue with the scholars. He cannot say, I am the scholar, you are Shankara. That is not possible. So logic exists all the way through and through. But if somebody is telling you logic does not exist in spirituality, then that person is actually trying to con you, because he is not logical enough to explain things, and also he wants you to lose your logic and be a fool like him. That's all.
Exactly. He wanted people to be such huge fools that they wouldn't recognize that he's the fool. And
Yes.
yeah, and he was successful with that. Because the moment he made everybody in that hall sit there to do an impossible calculation, um, he created in them all the doubt that a student experiences in a math class where they don't understand the algebraic equation. He reverted people back into the supplicants groveling at his feet, begging him for the answer, feeling like they're too small to ever understand it. And a lot of the people who were in that program got angry and frustrated and wanted to leave, and he wouldn't let them. I found an interesting account online of a girl who was there as a participant. And of course, I didn't know this was happening at the time because I was sleep deprived, and my responsibility was cleaning the hall when people left at the end of the day, and filming videos with participants. So I didn't realize the drama that took place at the front gate was that a girl was going through a really emotional reaction and rejection to his false teachings. And when she tried to leave, the guards literally dragged her back and tried to force her back into the hall. So she had to escape by flagging down one local biddity guy on a motorcycle and begging him to just give her a ride to the bus stop so she could get back to Bangalore. Um, I didn't understand at the time how bad of a cult it actually was. You know, if an ashram is a true ashram, um, would disciples be forced to stay when they want to leave? Because I would always understand a spiritual place has an open door policy. You might have to prove your worthiness to come inside, but once you're inside, you should have the freedom to leave whenever you want to. Is that correct?
Well, not only that, the biggest fear of the students in a Veda Padashala is that we will send you home. That is
Mm.
all. Okay, if they do any mistake, this is the first word they will say: you are being you are not being right, we will send you home, you are not fit for learning this. That will be the first reaction, and students will cry like anything. Because, like, if you lose this opportunity, then you do not know when you will get it back again. That is the first problem. Second problem is, everything requires discipline. Okay, but there can be certain tolerance in other fields of learning, other worldly fields of learning. There can be certain tolerance, because your character does not have anything to do with your knowledge.
Mm.
If you are in a medical school, and if you are being if you are doing drugs or something, then you need a program, that's all. But if you are inside a spiritual organization, and if you are showing ego inside the organization, or if you simply want to leave, then the next thing that would happen is you will be thrown outside. because they do not want to take up people who are not matured enough. And I have had my own grounding periods with my Guruji for months together. I have been with him for 4 years close to right now, wherein, like, I displayed certain tendencies, and he will say, okay, go and do sadhana for 6 months, no classes for you. So, and after 4 months, out of his grace, he will call me back. Until then, he will block my number, he will block my mom's number, everything. So that is because of one simple reason. This is so precious that you have to be 100% open in order to accept that. You cannot
Raghav, sorry, but you've become inaudible. I think either the call has been cut or there might be a difficulty on your end. Can you still hear me? Maybe if you can type something in the chat. Otherwise, I'll end this interview now, and we'll have a second part at some point. Sorry to the viewers, I don't know how to edit videos, so this is all going to still be in there. Okay. So it looks like we've lost Raghav for now, but if you've watched this interview, I just want to kind of wrap it up by saying that, there are a lot of practices within the Hindu guru-disciple relationship that, to a Westerner, are definite red flags for a cult. When Raghav described how a guru will make it difficult to get his teachings, we have to kind of listen to that with the ears of understanding the difference between making it difficult for a disciple, as in to find out that a person has the sincere desire for knowledge, and making it difficult for a disciple in that the guru is trying to exploit and get something from the disciple. So when Raghav described his guru calling him on a bus late at night and then sending him back before he returns there, the way I think of that, as compared to what the fraud who calls himself Nithyananda has done, is that his guru didn't gain anything from him starting a journey and then returning back home again. So it's been made difficult for him to reach the guru, but not at the benefit of the guru. Whereas in the case of the fraud who calls himself Nithyananda, he makes it difficult for people to reach him by making them pay him astronomical amounts of money, or making them do major campaigning for him on social media, making them give something to him, whether it's 10% of their annual income, which is what he's now asking disciples for, whether that's huge hours of volunteering, whether that's building up a new team for his ashram, whether it's traveling to some distant place to give him a fake passport. Whatever difficulties or obstacles the fraud creates for disciples to reach him, they are self-serving towards him. He doesn't care whether or not somebody is going to get enlightened. In fact, he doesn't respect his disciples as people, let alone as potential enlightened beings who are coming to him for an awakening. I think it's really beautiful to recognize the valid aspects of Sanatana Hindu Dharma, of Sanatana Dharma, which we call Hinduism. It's important to recognize the contributions it's making to the world, the good that's in it, and the fact that the Vedas are thousands of years old and still beneficial to people. And so the red flags that we should look out for, I think they were, the whole juice of this interview was basically summed up within the first little reply Raghav gave to Shiloh's question, which is that a guru is somebody who lives the yoga that he teaches. When we look at somebody like the fraud, Nithyananda, he preaches one thing but practices something else. The number of contradictory statements that he's made just within the last 3 years could fill a book. He got on stage once and declared that he'll make the whole world vegan. And then when the coronavirus outbreak happened, he told people, if you want to be healed from it, drink buttermilk. So he's saying he's going to make people vegan, and then he's literally instructing them to drink the product of a cow's exploitation. he is continuously saying one thing on stage and doing something else behind the scenes, dictating to his disciples how he should be portrayed to the public, telling people how they have to feel about him, um, abusing the Nayanar tradition, where he's taking the names of really good saints and then turning people abusive in their names. I think it's really important. Oh, here we go. We've got Ragav back
So,
again. Oh, and we can
yeah,
see you.
yeah. You can see me.
Yes, I can see you.
Oh,
So
excellent, excellent, excellent.
that's an auspicious conclusion to this interview. I was just telling the viewers that, the question at the beginning of this interview submitted by Shiloh, where she was asking how you can make sure a teaching is valid and truly Vedic and good for somebody. That was a two-part question. She'd also asked what red flags should a person look out for if they're coming to a new teacher. I think that you've already answered that question throughout this entire interview, just by
Yes.
describing what a real guru is.
Well, I can say only one thing about this, that is, if it is not from the Shastras, then it is wrong. And also, when I say when it is not from the Shastras, this is the sincere advice that I would give for anybody who is pursuing spirituality, whether it be an Indian or from outside. That is, you must first learn the Shastras. If the Guru is not teaching the Shastras, explaining each verse, word by word, these are all qualities for Gurus given. That is, he must be an expert in the language in which he is teaching. He must be able to explain the meaning of each word and then rearrange the words in a certain manner. It will be in poetic format. For prose format, you need to rearrange the words and then you need to again explain the meaning. After doing these two things, you have to take a commentary which is acceptable and then explain the commentary. So if somebody is not doing that, please do not believe that person. He is simply spinning his own yarn. That's all. As simple as that. He is
Yeah.
spinning his own yarn and nothing else. So that is the first red flag, and that red flag includes everything. Because if you are studying the Shastras as a guru, then obviously you will become genuine. That is how the system has been designed. It is not like you can study the Shastras and then lie. It is not possible, because if you are teaching the Shastras, essentially it is the truth. So that is my biggest problem here is, it has been close to 40 plus another 20, so 60 years since all this conning started happening in Indian spirituality, wherein the concept of knowledge without the Shastras came into being. So this is the only red flag that you need to look for. And other red flags, obviously the cult red flag, psychology, other things, we can obviously look for that. That is okay. But the major red flag that you need to look for is this one thing, that is, if a guru is not following the Shastras, first thing. Second thing is lineage is very, very important, because lineage means accountability. If there is a problem with Kanchi Shankara Mat, then they are answerable ethically to Adi Shankara himself. First thing, they will not do a mistake. Even if they are doing a mistake out of their human problems, then all the other all the other Shankara Mats are there to ask them questions. If an Ekadanti sannyasi, Ananda sannyasi is creating some trouble, is going in a wrong way, then the Akada Parishit will question him. So this kind of checks and balance system is already there here. And what we need to understand is the system has been existing, at least, even if you take the historical accounts, which are anti-Hindu historical accounts, it is at least 3000 years old. So if some system has sustained itself for 3000 years on Shastras, it will continue to sustain itself for another 3000 years on Shastras. But if you leave the Shastras, according to, and today I think he said he is beyond religion. Yes. So if you leave this religion and try to give spirituality, then in 10 years time everything will go off. You close down all the temples, you remove all the agamas, you remove everything. And one more thing, you must know the Shastra organically. If your guru is not teaching that, then he is a fake guru, point number one. But if you feel that still the guru is an enlightened being, but an enlightened being without proper literacy, then you must go and read the Shastras and you must see if this is going hand in hand with the guru. Take the case of Ramana Maharishi. He did not have any spiritual education, proper spiritual education, before he became realized. Okay, and after he became realized, he has written so many books, many poems. If you look at those poems, he will give a clear forward stating, I have studied this particular shastra in order to write this poem. He studied after becoming enlightened, because he did not want to move away from the shastras. So that is how a real guru will work. And if that is not the case, then you lose everything. Another point I wanted to say is the money extortion that is happening, the guru dakshana part. I think I have to speak about that as well. Yes, so first thing is, these are the exact words, the purport given by Srila Prabhupada to the earlier shloka that we discussed, which is pranipadena pariprashnena sevaya. So that one here he is telling very very important purport. Pranipada is important, pariprashna is important. There is no mention, okay, and of Guru Dakshana, and it works in various ways for various vidyas. That is, you are going for some temporary this thing, then you can pay something at the end of the class and come back. That is okay. Very nominal amount, that is okay. But for a proper student, like what he is saying, he is telling he is taking lifetime students essentially. If people would not have woken up, they will still be his disciples till the end of the life, or till the organization dismantles, which is going to happen very soon. I'm pretty sure that the government is taking sufficient action to dismantle the entire organization. So if these two things are not happening, then he is giving lifetime commitment. So this is what will happen. A student will go and join the ashram. Then he will be going and taking alms from outside. The guru will not have any property, will not have any system to feed the disciples. They have to go and get food from outside, or some donors will give basic food that is required, they will feed. And after finishing the education, he will go to certain places, certain kings and merchants, even people like that are available still till date. They are available. There are organizations, funded organizations, which are available to test your intelligence after you have finished your studies. You will go to that organization, you will prove your intelligence. They will have their own scholars. They will test you and they will give you money, which you can come and give back to the guru. That is the Guru Dakshana. That's all. And moreover, here, as I told you, Prabhupada's this thing, I have taken a note of that. Just give me a minute. Yeah, there is no prepaid system or term fees or pay per program. Okay, that is one thing. And then I just saw that. Where is that? Seva. One second. Pravritti Nivritti Marga. I have taken so much of notes. Yeah. One second. One second. Guru Bhakti Romantic thing. Oh my gosh.
While you're searching your notes, I'll just mention to the viewers,
Yes.
we might be doing more interviews like this in the future. So if there's anything that you're wondering about, if you've heard some of the fraud who calls himself Nithyananda, if you've heard some of his discourses where he talks about Shastras and where he claims that he's intercepting the thought currents of the ancient rishis and the munis, and that he's translating those for modern times, he's made a lot of grandiose claims that he is the origin of the Shastras. And so for a lot of his disciples, if they hear this, they'll say, well, he is a real guru because he hasn't moved away from the Shastras. I personally am in no position to speak to any of that because I haven't studied it. So if you have any specific questions about this for Raghav, please leave them as comments below. And either in a future interview like this, or maybe as a separate video for his channel, he can address those.
So yes, I got this note. And Srila Prabhupada is saying this in the purport of the 34th shloka of the 4th chapter, which we discussed earlier. Knowledge received by submissive inquiries and service is more effective than knowledge received in exchange for money. A spiritual master in the line of disciplinic succession, all the way from Brahma and Narada, has no demand for dollars or cents.
Wow.
This is the conclusion of Srila Prabhupada. That is, And personally, I will tell you, I have not even spent a single penny for anything that I learned, other than buying the books, or spending money for travel, or spending money for getting at least some fruits or something for my guru out of my own reverence. All my masters, right from the very first start, from my age of 8 till now, I have not even spent a single penny. All I have done is buying vegetables for their house. All these things I have done, that is different. And I am helping my guru with all his books and other things right now. So those things are happening, but not even one single penny was asked to me as fees so far by any of these people. I have not paid. But there are paid programs. Intensive camps are there for Vedanta, wherein you have to pay something for your upkeep. That is okay. But other than that, asking this much amount of money, I'm really flabbergasted. I really thought people were just making up figures when they told me.
No.
And then they sent me receipts and other things. I understood, okay, this is what is happening, because the amount is so big that I can live my entire life on for 5 years for the money that you are paying for one single program. Here in India, I can live my life for 5 years and dedicate myself to my entire spiritual studies.
Yes.
So I really don't know with that money what he is doing. That is a different question.
Well, I've heard a lot of theories about that, because there's no financial transparency in his organization. But definitely a huge portion of that goes towards his lawyer fees, legal fees.
Very true.
The money it cost him to flee India, whatever private jets he chartered to get to first Ecuador. And now I've heard a lot of people say he's probably still in Ecuador, because he recently declared that the country of Ecuador is at the forefront for the new consciousness awakening in humanity. So why would he be praising this country if they
maybe to mislead people? Okay, anyways, if the red corner notice is coming, CIA will be involved, and we will know where he is.
Yes. Anyhow, Ragav, just thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us today. We'll end the interview with this for now, because I think that's enough for people to chew on at the moment, and maybe we'll have another follow-up if there are more questions than this.
Sure, no problems. Okay.
All right. So thank you, and thank you to everyone.
Yeah, you can. Dacham yora vranimahe ghatum yajnaya ghatum yajnapataye dhaivi swastirastunaha swastir manushebhyaha urdvam jigadu veshajam shanno astu dvipate e sanchatushpathe om shanti shanti shanti. Namas sadase. Thank you so much.
Thank you.